Hello everyone, my name is Josh and welcome to WHIMS. And today I have a review for you on the 2023 film Saltburn. And this was written and directed by Emerald Fennell, who before she went into directing, she was mostly known for being a stage and theatre actress, mostly notable for her role as Camilla Parker Bowles in the Netflix original series The Crown. But she really kind of made a name for herself as a director when she wrote and directed the film A Promising Young Woman. That film was so successful that she actually won an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. So there was a lot of attention and a lot of anticipation for her next project. And her next project was a film called Saltburn, which follows a working class student by the name of Oliver Quick, who gets invited to study at Oxford. And he's kind of out of his element at first, but then when he becomes friends with upper class student Felix Catton, after an incident where Felix's bike breaks down and Oliver offers to hand him his bike to ride back to the university with, they become very quick friends, and he gets invited to a pub party that they have, like a little gathering at the pub where he gets to buy the drinks, and he doesn't have any money, so Felix offers to give him a tenner, which he buys the drinks with. And after having a very wild night, he wakes up to the sound of his phone ringing, and then Felix learns from Oliver that Oliver's father has just died after tripping over drunk and hitting his head on the concrete. This detail is very important because it will come into play later. And also, by the way, before I continue with this review, I have to say that I will be discussing major spoilers for this film when we get into the nitty-gritty of the film. I will be spoiling a lot of this film, so I will be saying right off the bat, please go and watch this film. It's on Amazon Prime right now as we speak, so if you have an Amazon Prime account, please go and watch it and then come back and watch this video so that we can discuss the spoilers in the comments and go a little bit deeper, because I will be spoiling this film. So that's your warning. So I will be spoiling this film, but this actually really does shake Oliver to the degree where he actually does feel quite sad and very alone. So Felix takes pity on him and says, well, if you can't go home this summer, we can go to Saltburn together. And Saltburn is his family home, so he introduces him to his family, which is made up of Elizabeth, Charlotte, James, his father, played by Richard E. Grant. Elizabeth is played by Rosamund Pike. He has an aunt called Pamela, played by Carey Mulligan, and he has a cousin by the name of Farley. And he's even giving him a tour of Saltburn where he describes things in a very detached way. Like, instead of saying that, oh, this room has a lovely turquoise wallpaper and there's so many, late 15th century paintings in here and it goes all the way back to this many times. Instead of doing that, Felix goes, oh, this is the blue room, and oh, this is a corner where I did something inappropriate with my cousin one time, and various other things. And it really is quite detached. And it really is kind of funny, but then also at the same time it really tells you everything you need to know about Felix's character. And with the inappropriate action that Felix took towards his cousin in that corner of the room, he uses the word accidentally, and I thought that was actually a very interesting phrase to use, because it actually almost serves as foreshadowing for what happens later on in the film in regards to what a character phrases the word accident as, or accidentally as, or an accident as. And it's really quite interesting bit of foreshadowing, actually. So that's actually rather an interesting detail that Emerald Fennell put into the script as a little bit of, a little bit of sleaze, a little bit of a sleazy comment kind of turned into a bit of epic foreshadowing. So it's actually rather clever in many respects. But yeah, he's introduced the family, and of course, Elizabeth is starting to gossip already before she's even met the guy. She starts saying that, oh, Oliver's mother is a drunk. Can you believe that? I can't imagine what that must be for a child. Oh, growing up like that. And then her sister just goes, oh, Pamela, my dear sister, they are born drunk. And that's probably one of my favourite moments. There's another great line, which I can't reference here, but I really do love the dialogue in this film. It's so wonderful. It's really fantastic. And I really just love the dialogue. It's so funny, but then it's also so dark as well. But what's very interesting about this film is Oliver starts to really take a shine to everybody in Saltburn, almost to the degree where it's almost inappropriate. There's a lot of very there's a lot of very dark scenes in this film, but it does tie into something that I think is very interesting, because Mark Kermode, when he reviewed this film, he called this film a vampire film. And in many cases, I was really quite, surprised, because when I first saw the trailer for this film, I thought, oh, it's going to be like Get Out, but it's going to be in Britain, and it's going to be, you're going to be rooting for this guy to survive, or he's probably going to slip into evil and be consumed by this evil. But in many cases, it feels very different, because this film is a vampire film, but it's a different type of vampire film. It's not a literal vampire film, it's more of a metaphorical vampire film, because I feel like there's a bit of a twist to this film, and it all kind of happens when, on the day of Oliver's birthday, Felix decides to take him on a trip out, where they're going on around in his car and they're singing along to Mr. Brightside by the Killers, and it's a very nice scene. But then Oliver, it clicks with Oliver that something is going on, and he doesn't like it. So something is going on and he doesn't like it, but I do think this scene is very interesting, because it does show, because for the longest time, again, spoiler alert, I'm going to be spoiling the hell out of this film, so please go and watch this film before I continue. It's on Amazon Prime right now, so please go and watch this film and then come back and watch this review to get my full thoughts and everything. But this scene is very interesting, because for half of this film, we don't really know much about Oliver's backstory. We don't really know much about his family. We've just been going on the words that he's been saying. Because, like I said, during the night where he's at the pub, he wakes up the very next morning and he gets a phone call, and then the film cuts to the next scene where he's knocking on Felix's door to tell him about what happened to his father. So for the longest time, we are taking Oliver on his word that this is what's happening. So when it's actually revealed that his parents aren't just alive, that his father isn't just alive, but his mother is actually quite a very normal and very kind of vibrant and very kind of, very bubbly and very kind of welcoming and inviting person, who's very enthusiastic about her son and and his friends, we are just as shocked as Felix is. We literally are just like Felix, where we're like going, what the hell is going on here, Oliver? What the hell have you been saying? And it really does kind of put things into perspective, because it's revealed during these scenes that Oliver isn't an only child. He is, in fact, a younger child, and he has 2 older siblings. So it really kind of does bring into question that Oliver has some degree of depersonalization, derealization syndrome, or another variation of that is known as if syndrome, where basically he feels so detached from his own surroundings. He feels such a great sense of displacement and a lacking of identity or any real relatability or attachment to his own surroundings, where he grew up and who he grew up with, that he literally is willing to tackle anything and grab onto anything that's greater than what he actually is growing up in. So it's almost like he's ashamed of his working class roots and he wants to go for something better. It's actually really tragic, but in many ways he's almost got this form of something called as if syndrome, which is where someone feels so empty inside that they literally will fill themselves up with whatever that other person has in their lives. Almost like they're a parasite, almost. It's almost like he's found Felix and latched onto him and just started sucking him dry. Like a symbiote, he has to attach himself to a person and bond with that person in order to survive and thrive. Because this happens much later on in the story, where, spoiler alert, something happens which causes Felix to die, and it's not really made clear whether he did actually die accidentally or whether something else was involved. And during this entire exchange, after the funeral, Charlotte is taking a bath, and he comes into the bathroom, and she has this entire speech that you only knew him for 6 months, and you basically were his friend. He invited you into his life, but you're not a poor innocent person. You're not poor sweet little Ollie. You're actually a moth to a flame. and she even says the words "stranger fucking danger." That's such a great speech. I love the dialogue in this film so much. It's such an amazing script. I love Saltburn's script, I really do. But yeah, there's so many great moments like that. But I just really love that entire exchange. And she realizes that Oliver is wearing Felix's dressing gown, and he's wearing his aftershave, and she calls him things like "you're a fucking freak, Oliver," and things like that. And it really goes to show that he feels so displaced, and he literally feels he's a parasite in every sense of the word. He's literally sucking this poor man dry because he feels like, oh, I don't have a very satisfying life, so therefore I'm going to make this life that I've found and make it my own. And it's such an incredibly dark persona that he's created. And I really do like that, because there are things to be said about Oliver's family as well. I think he suffered from neglect, because they did say that he has 2 older siblings. So maybe he is basically creating this entire persona and creating this backstory because he's had no other choice in the past. So he basically is just trying to create this entire character to try to live the best life that he can live. And it is really dark. It's very dark to watch. It really is dark to witness, but it's just so incredible, and I just love this film so much. It really is. And there's a scene at the end of the film where Oliver has very successfully achieved his goal of dispatching all the Catton family. The father, James, played by Richard E. Grant, has died. Miss Elizabeth Catton, played by Rosamund Pike, has died. The daughter, Charlotte, has died. Everyone's died. And it's revealed at the very end of the film that there was a lot of unfortunate accidents. And he even says at the very end, but is there really any such thing as an accident? And I thought, wait, that's such an incredible twist. And it goes to show that he planned everything. He planned everything down to Felix's bike breaking down. All these other things have basically been the result of his own design. And I bloody love Saltburn. It is a fantastic film with a great cast, great dialogue, and of course this film has lots of good songs, including Mr. Brightside and Sophie Baxter Ellis's Murder on the Dance Floor as well. And there's actually a really good scene at the very end where he dances around naked in Saltburn. But it's almost like a very twisted version of The Go-Between. And there was a reason why I chose The Go-Between as my next project before I tackled Saltburn, because that was literally like a much more lighter version of what Saltburn would eventually become. But this film is fabulous. I really do love the screenplay. I love the cast members. They all do an absolutely wonderful job with this script, and they do a very good job of really kind of analysing Oliver Quick and what he is actually like. And they don't spell everything out for you, which I really do like. They really do make you come to your own conclusions. But I think what's very interesting is it's all there. You just have to really kind of pick it apart and see, well, okay, this is what his life was probably like, and this is what he's probably had to do in order to survive. And it's such an incredible portrait. And usually with these sorts of films, you don't usually get original, interesting villains like Oliver Quick. The only other example I can think of where there was a really interesting villain was in the film The Menu, starring Ralph Fiennes, where the character of Julian Slowick had a very interesting backstory, but there's so many layers and so many contradictions that you could pick apart that made him a much more interesting and well-rounded character. But yeah, this film is actually really incredible. And before I actually end this video, I feel the urge to just basically say this film has gotten a lot of attention on YouTube on the React community side of things. And usually people react to the more controversial scenes, which is a scene involving a bathtub and a scene involving a grave. And I feel like, yes, people can talk about those scenes and really kind of get drawn into the film by those scenes, but it almost feels like those scenes, the more seedier scenes, are kind of overshadowing what really is great about this film, which is the storytelling, and the character study and the character development of Oliver Quick. Those are the things that people should be focusing on in regards to how good this film is, and not the more seedier aspects. But I get it. It hooks you in, it draws you in, so that when you open the book up, you kind of are almost like shocked at how good the story is, and how great the characters are, and how well shot the film is, and how well composed everything is. It really is an incredible film. I'd highly recommend it if you haven't seen already. But that's my review for Saltburn. I hope I did this film justice, and let me know what you guys thought of this film in the comments. Did you like it? What are your thoughts on Oliver Quick? Did you see any of that stuff coming from Oliver Quick? Let me know in the comments. I hope you're having a very good day. This has been Joshua with WHIMS, and take care. Bye for now.